Aaron James here. I was going to make a quick video, just really basic, on sort of an intro to spinning. I was going to actually, since it was an intro, I was going to use a drop spindle. I know I've made a lot of content in the past. I've reached the point of my career, I guess, with having videos on YouTube, that I have a lot of information already on YouTube, but then we're always getting new people kind of joining our community and our Facebook group. And here lately we've had a lot of newer spinners, specifically people who are learning on drop spindles. So since there have been lots of advancements in filming and editing since I started this channel, figured it was probably now was as good a time as any to make things first. If you are totally confused about what I'm even talking about with handspun yarn and a drop spindle, here are two different examples of handspun yarn. This one is what we would call a 2-ply, and it's a bulky weight yarn. So if you're a knitter or crocheter, you probably already kind of know what we're talking about here. You can see the two strands of yarn wrapped together on this 2-ply yarn. This one is a single ply, and this is a real natural wool. You can see the different variations in grays and taupes in here for this single ply yarn. So the idea with the 2-ply yarn, spoiler alert, is you're going to do two singles and then they're going to get twisted on each other, and then it becomes, you can kind of see how that would become a 2-ply. However, you can totally leave it as a single, and which I do all the time, and many people enjoy, and we sell a lot of single ply yarn as well that you can use to make all sorts of projects. And we do have a whole free pattern section on my website on what to do with handspun yarn, because that seemed to be a question that came up a lot. So this is what handspun yarn is, and if you would like to learn to make it, you can use either a larger, more traditional spinning wheel or an untraditional spinning wheel, or you can use a hand tool like this, which would be a drop spindle. So as promised, today I was going to go over just the real basic terms and where to start on a drop spindle. So this is a drop spindle. They come in different versions. I have lots of videos on lots of different types of drop spindles. This one is my favorite type to teach on. It's a top whirl, and I will show you why this is my favorite type to teach on, but there are lots of different types. So once you get the hang of it, it's they're not that expensive. It can be really fun to collect lots of different types of drop spindles. So this is just a really basic, a friend of mine made top whirl drop spindle. Nothing fancy or, you know, technologically advanced here. And then I've got some wool, and this is from a small farm. This is from Get Bent's farm. She also has a fiber mill as well as a farm. So this is some really, really soft rambouillet that we just had going out. This was a supply for my company's natural bat, like spinning fiber bats, so I had some extra laying around. So this is very clean wool. It's been milled, so you can see all the fibers are going in one direction. Because it has been minimally processed, there is a tiny bit in here. I'm still trying to get used to getting everything on the camera where I want it to be. There's a tiny little bit of, we call it VM in the business, which stands for vegetative matter. So if you're wanting to use more natural, less processed fiber, you may end up with a little bit of plant fiber still stuck in there, but I mean, it's wool. It came off a sheep, and sheep hang out outside. So, you know, it doesn't bother me at all. When you spin, it just falls out. But I wanted to show you an example of what this is. This is, like I said, rambouillet wool. It is very, very soft and silky. It's been milled, all the fibers. Oh, look at that good spring. See the good spring you got there? It's been milled, and it's all going in one direction, which is important, because if the wool were all going in like every different direction, then you wouldn't be able to spin it very easily into yarn. So that's the general idea. There's lots of different types of fiber prep, either with a mill or by hand, but the idea is that you want the fibers generally going in one direction. So there's that. This is my drop spindle, so let's get going on how to attach this fiber to this hook. Okay, let's see if I can do this while looking at a computer screen that is showing me doing this in the opposite of how I'm used to doing it, so bear with me if I seem sort of stupid. But what we're going to do is, instead of using a leader thread, some people teach to use like an RD, like a thread or a piece of yarn, basically to attach this to this. While that may seem easier to some to start with, I was taught, and I think it's easier. And then you just seem cool because you don't need that extra step if you just go straight. We're connecting this to this. So what we're going to do is you're going to take the hook and we're going to pre-draft. So pre-drafting is where we sort of do this, where you're kind of loosening the fiber up. Excuse me. And then we're going to attach it to the hook like a sandwich. Once you have, like I said, literally all I've done was just sandwich the hook in between my pre-drafted tail. What we're going to do is get the twist from this, generates twist, and the twist goes into the fiber, and the twist in the fiber is the glue that holds it together. So the whole idea with what we're trying to do here is if you want thinner yarn, you're going to draft, which means pull it apart to the thinness or thickness that you would like, that you're going for whatever size yarn you're wanting to make. And then you capture it at that size with the twist, which is the glue. And once you know how to do that, that's how you make yarn. So it's one of those things that can be as complicated or as not complicated as you want to make it. So we have sandwiched this, and I'm now getting twist going here just by twisting it. And you can see it already, oh yeah, this fiber's fabulous. It already looks good. All I'm doing is just twisting this, and oh God, that was so perfect. This fiber is really nice, and I'd pre-drafted it. Pre-drafting is a big tip. I have lots of tips for spinners, and as you see, that makes it help. So now I have this like twisty piece of yarn, and yes, you see it will start unspinning, but it's fine. It won't totally unspin. That's probably the number one thing that most stresses out new people is when it starts unspinning, but you know, as you see, nothing bad is happening. You can always just put more spin back in it that way. So once you get about that much, most drop spindles will have like a little notch. If it doesn't really matter. You know, you don't have to have a little notch, but you're just going to bring that down and then wrap it at least once around and then bring it back up and then rehook it. And that is the hardest part. That's attaching the fiber to the drop spindle. And you know, one more time for the people in the cheap seats in the back, we twisted it. You want to get about that much, you know, I don't know, the size of your forearm, maybe not even that much. I have short forearms, so not that much. And then bring it down, just enough fiber to bring it down, wrap it one time around the base, and then bring it back up. And for those of you who are perfectionists and think that there has to be some sort of like super particular way of like, well, if you bring it down at a 45-degree angle, you have to bring it back up, and no, there's not. Just however it works for you is fine. So on this one, I mean, honestly, for different days and different spindles, this could go different. Right now, this looks all great. And you can see I brought it down and pretty much brought it back up on exactly the other side. I mean, that's cool. And that's definitely like a good tension. But it would also work if you brought it down, twisted it once, and then brought it back up, you know, like much closer to each other. That also works. So do not stress out about that. The goal is to bring it down and twist it around and bring it back up. So as long as you've accomplished those things, you're good. So now we have attached the fiber to here. What you're going to do is we're just going to continue with that twist. Continue with the twist. And we're just going to let that travel up. So what you would do, and this is for new spinners, and why I like this type of spindle, is it has the tail at the bottom. Stick it under your armpit or between your knees. And then the twist is already built up in here. So the pinch is going to control where the twist goes. And then it runs up the fiber. So you see how you're getting twist, stick it, and then your hands are controlling, because see, everything on this side is not twisty, and everything on this side is twisty. So here, I'm trying to find the camera. There we go. These fingers are like the gatekeepers of the twist. So you pre-draft it out, and then when you move these fingers, see, look, the twist magically runs up. And then if you have short little T-Rex arms like me, you can't do that for too long sitting down before you run out of length. And when you do, you just do the same thing we just did. Put it down, twist it around, and except this time you can roll it up till you have, you know, enough tail to bring it back up. So that's why I said it doesn't matter, because you're going to be twisting it and untwisting it 100 times. And then you get more twist going. But see, now it's manageable because we've loaded the yarn here and we've got more room here because, you know, I was reaching. So now we've got that. Get more twist, stick it under your armpits. Here you can see better now. So these fingers, remember, the gatekeepers of the twist. I usually pinch. Oh, sorry, got wool up my nose. And then just slowly pull it out and smooth it up. And see how that twist from like an engine runs up your fiber. And now, like I said, my arm is as far out as it can go. So I'm going to untwist it and then wrap it back up. So there you go. That is the super basic, sorry, I still have wool up my nose. Super basic approach to what is a drop spindle, why would you make hand spun yarn, what is wool, how are we sticking it on there. So those were just real basic things that, like I said, we'd had a lot of new spinners kind of joining our Facebook group or commenting on this YouTube channel. I would encourage you, I have tons of videos if you're looking for more tips and tricks. I believe I actually have one that's called like tips for learning to spin or drop spindle. There's a million videos on my YouTube channel. So there's different playlists. Go look on there. You can definitely find more in-depth information there. If you have any specific questions, I'm happy to answer those for you. So I hope you enjoyed that. And if you would like more on just kind of basic drop spindle stuff, let me know. And I may go back to doing some more basic drop spindle videos for people instead of so much just on the wheels. Like I said, if you have any like real newbie questions, we welcome them. The, as mentioned, Facebook group is the Crafty Housewife Yarns Handspun Yarn Love Facebook group. I will try to get the link somewhere around this video so that you can easily find it. If not, just search it. It's on the Facebook. So that's on there. And we do have, and they are super cheap and affordable, I have online courses. So if you, particularly your brain jibes with my brain on explaining this, because that's what, there's so many people that teach spinning, just like there's so many people that teach anything. And I mean, I know sometimes like certain people's personalities or brains just make more sense to you than others. So if you somehow, the way I explain it makes more sense to you than how you've seen it in other ways that were maybe even better or more official ways, but the way I'm explaining it makes more sense to you, I do have an online spinning course. I have a drop spindle course, an intro to spinning course, and then kind of like a monthly membership with like all the things you could ever want. So anyhow, I'll put a link for that too. That would be the most step-by-step homework involved, you know, start here, end there sort of thing if you are not in the mood to search around YouTube. But, you know, if you want to search around YouTube, I got that too, and it's free. So, hope that helps. Let me know, and I will talk to you soon.